So good morning, afternoon, depending on where you are, everybody. Welcome to the August 9th PASS Women in Technology Virtual Chapter Meeting. I wanted to take a quick moment to remind you that you can register for SQL PASS Summit 2016 and save $150 using the PassWit Virtual Chapter discount code, which is listed here. It's
Ree,
on our web.
I'm not seeing your slide deck.
Oh, hold on. I'm working on it.
Okay.
How about now?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, and can you see the start recording button?
I've got it. Yeah, I'm recording.
Oh, good. Okay, so we're good. Let me get back to make sure everything's cool over here. Okay, we're good. So you should be able to see here the PassWit Virtual Chapter discount code. We've tweeted it. It's on our website, and you would have gotten it in the most recent newsletter. If you're not getting the newsletter, make sure you go to your SQL PASS My Chapters tab and register to be a member of the PassWit Virtual Chapter, and that'll automatically put you on our mailing list. And my slides, there we go. Kathy may mention this again later, but SQL Century has generously agreed to sponsor the PassWit Virtual Chapter for the next year. So a session that we host later in the year, SQL Century will do a small presentation for us. So look forward to that. We have a couple of upcoming webinars that you can see on our website. Shabnam Watson will be doing the July meeting that we had to reschedule. So it's a SQL Developer's Guide to MDX. I attended this one when she did it here for the Atlanta Users Group, and even though I'm not an MDX girl, I actually learned a lot and had a few aha moments. I had a couple of that's confusing, I'm never going to use that moment, but I don't do MDX. I think you'll enjoy it if you guys can make time to attend it. Melody Zacharias will be doing an introduction to Microsoft Analytics, turning data into intelligent action for us, October 12th. I think she'll also be presenting this one at Kansas City, which is coming up September 24th. So if you can make it to that, that would be great. Check us out. PassWit is on YouTube. You can just Google, SQL PassWit, and you'll find us. There's the link. You can check us out on our webpage, wit.sqlpass.org. That's where you can find out about upcoming SQL Saturdays, upcoming webinars, that kind of thing. So join the monthly, the virtual chapter, and get the monthly newsletter. And follow us on Twitter at @pass_wit, or follow the PassWit hashtag. Let me also encourage you that if you find something that you think other members of the WIT chapter would be interested in, tweet it with that hashtag. It's not just exclusively for us to use. We have some upcoming SQL Saturday sessions. Indianapolis is this Saturday. Wendy Pastrick, Megan Lagoria, Tamara Clark, and Ginger Grant are all presenting there. And San Antonio is this weekend as well. Kaylin Delaney will be there. I wish I were going to San Antonio so I could see Mindy Cornett's session. But Jen McCone, Amy Harold, and Lori Edwards are all presenting as well. And Spartanburg is coming up in 2 weeks, and that's run by Lindsay Clark, who has helped bring us the Teach 15 Girls Tech through techgirls.org. She was pretty vital in getting the WIT chapter involved in that. But today's topic is Kathy Kellenberger. She's going to talk about SQL Server Reporting Services 2016 and what's new and what's changed. And she also happens to be the co-leader of the PASS Women in Technology virtual chapters. She's the one who writes the great webinars, the great newsletters that you see, and she's absolutely a pleasure to work with. So, Kathy, if you're ready, I'll go ahead and change the presenter.
Thank you, Ree, and that was the nicest introduction I've ever had. It was very nice. Okay, let me make sure I'm going to show the right screen. Yes. And I don't see it up there yet. Do you see it?
I do.
So you should see a slide. SQL Server 2. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So about the year, well, exactly the year 2003, I attended my first PASS conference, and that's where I heard about reporting services, and I was so excited. I knew it could solve a ton of problems for me back at my job. And as soon as I got back, I downloaded it, and eventually it came out a few months later as an add-in for SQL 2000. So a lot of time has passed since then, and just about every version of SQL Server, not every, but usually there's some little enhancements as we go. The really cool thing about 2016 is that now we've got from Microsoft a very, very big investment in SSRS. I've heard occasionally, people talking, man, we think that there's no future in SSRS, there's all these other tools, we don't really think Microsoft's going to really invest in it. Ree, I think there is background noise coming from you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, tell me if this doesn't fix it, though, by the way.
Okay, I'm still hearing you. Now I'm not, so I think we should be fine. So in 2016, we've got a major investment in SSRS. So I really believe that Microsoft is committed to it, which is fantastic. It's not the end-all in reporting tools, but it definitely has a place, and just use the right tool for the right situation, like anything else. So what is actually new in 2016? There's some pretty cool things. For example, there's a new web portal. We've had the report manager for over a decade now, and there's been a basically they threw it away, started over, and one of the best things about it is that now it supports HTML5 browsers, so HTML, so we don't have to worry about it doesn't work in this browser, it doesn't work in that browser. No more Silverlight, it's HTML5, so I think a lot of people will be happy with that. Some of the other issues, printing. People were not able to print unless they were using IE, so we've got a new solution for printing. One of the things, PowerPoint rendering and export, not as exciting, but that's another thing we can do. And also custom branding. Has anybody ever wanted to, have a unique look and feel for reporting services outside of SharePoint? So one of the really interesting things about reporting services 2016 is that a lot of the new features are geared towards the native mode reporting services. So I think that's really interesting because in the past few releases we had some things that only worked in SharePoint mode. So I know a lot of places are using SharePoint mode. For my personal opinion, I like to just have the web page. It just seems to make management easier. So I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me there, but it is what it is. One of the most exciting, probably I'm going to say the most exciting new feature is the mobile reports. Now, so those of you out there in the audience who are have a cell phone, a smartphone, or a tablet handy, what I would like you to do is go out to wherever you buy your apps and search for Power BI and go ahead and download it and install it. So you must be running iOS 9 or above, Android 4.4 or above, or Windows 10. So if you have any of those on your smartphone or tablet, go ahead and go out and download those, because later you'll actually be able to run some of my mobile reports on your device. The other area that they've really done a lot of work is modify how you build the report as well. There's some new chart types, there's a way to customize the parameter layout, it supports some newer data sources, some possibly new, but some improved on existing data sources that we've had before. They have, so these slides I got from Microsoft, so they're calling it a modern report builder look and feel. Report builder looks pretty much the same, it's just this color scheme that's different. And also there's some exciting news about how it works within Visual Studio 2015, and just basically how the it gets rid of some of those problems that we've had where, you know, this version works in that version of Visual Studio, and what do you download and what do you do? So there's really been some simplification over that. All right, I am going to jump over to my demo machine, except for that last slide. I'm really done with slides. Let's go to Visual Studio. So the first thing I want to show you is actually the download. Where can I download SSDT? So again, we're not going back to the old bids. We are staying with SSDT. And in the past, there has been two products called SSDT, or SQL Server Data Tools. There was a SQL Server Data Tools for working with database projects, but if you wanted to work with reporting services or the other BI tools such as analysis services or integration services, you had to find a separate download called SQL Server Data Tools for BI. Now they've simplified that, and there's just one download. And here is the really exciting news, is this particular download supports SQL Server 2016 going back to SQL Server 2005. In my experience, at least with reporting services, make that go back to 2008. It's not going to go back. So you can have one tool, the latest and greatest Visual Studio, and not have to switch back and forth. I know years ago I was doing some .NET development and had to have one version of Visual Studio, and then I had to have a different version of Visual Studio for my reporting services and SSIS work. So I had to have two different laptops because the two versions just kept breaking each other. So this is really, really exciting news. One place to download SQL Server Data Tools, and as long as you're at 2008 or higher, you're in good shape. So let's take a look. One of the good things about reporting services is that even though they've really gone back and just started over, they did not change the way you really build reports. You will still leverage those skills that you've had for the last decade or so, or however long you've been working in reporting services. You don't have to worry. You don't have to go back and recreate all of your old reports. Now, you might want to bring them into Visual Studio and upgrade them to the latest and greatest, but you don't have to worry. They are still going to work. So the first thing to really look at is the newer design. So what this particular report here is one that I built in SSRS 2014, and all I did was just throw a chart in and set the numbers up. I didn't do any formatting or anything like that. This is the default chart type. If you choose to add a chart and just add the first one, this is what it looks like. Let me go over to this other report, 2016, and you'll see that it's got the same data that I was just showing you, but the report looks different as far as the fonts and the colors. That's because what they're trying to do is match the Power BI look and feel. So your charts will all look a little bit different. You can always change the fonts to make them look like the older version if you wish. But by default, new reports that you create will look or have that look and feel like the Power BI release. One thing, let's see, let's go back to design view of this. And you'll notice something you've never seen before. This area up here for parameters. So this is brand new. In the past, for parameters, let me just go ahead and add another one. I won't mess around with configuring it, but in the past, if you wanted to rearrange the parameters, you could basically make them go up and down, but you couldn't change how they show up on the report. So in other words, if I wanted one parameter in the top row and I wanted two parameters, let's say a start date and an end date, to go together on the second row, you couldn't do that. It was impossible to do. So what you have now is the ability in this layout area to drag the parameters to where you would like to see them. I can also add some additional columns or additional rows, whatever I need to do here. So I know that a lot of people in the past have been frustrated with, you know, working with parameters, trying to get them to line up the way they want. Now we can do this. So it's really great. I mentioned that this supports multiple versions of reporting services. So what happens if you actually want to use this tool, but you want to use an older version, or you need to use an older version? So you do that, you change this just like you did in the past. Go to the properties and you can pick which level of reporting services you would like to use. So I don't see 2005 listed here, so that's why I'm saying I don't think you can go back to 2005. 2008 is the latest and greatest. So if I look at a report in this project 2008, and I see that I've added a chart type. Haven't gotten to this point yet, but this is a new chart type that is only supported in 2016. It let me add that chart. Let me go ahead and show you that. Here's the new two chart types that I'll talk about in a minute. It let me add that, but whenever I try to preview, I get this error. It could not be built because there is a feature that's not supported in 2008. So if I would come in here and go and change the properties to 2016, then this report will actually work. So let's add a value there. So now it actually works. So that's pretty handy. You don't have to worry about switching to different versions. This is going to cover all of them down to 2008. All right, let me look at my list here to make sure. We talked about the parameters, so let's take a look at the new chart types that I mentioned. One is called a heat map. So this is what the heat map looks like. You set it up very similarly to a regular chart. To get it to look good, you might have to do a little bit of tweaking. And if I mouse over, in this case I've added my tooltips because, for example, this particular one is too small to actually see the size. So what it does is, depending on the amount of sales or whatever I'm measuring, the square or the square or rectangle is going to be larger. Okay, let me go back and we can look at the design view, and you'll see that the chart data looks very similar. There's something that I want to measure and I have a certain category. In order to get, let's see, is it the different colors? I believe it, to get different colors to show up, you also have to fill in the series groups, and you have to kind of work to get the the labels exactly the way you want them. So there's a little bit of work, and I recommend you go out and there's plenty of articles that go step by step on how to create these. The other new type of report is called a sunburst, which is kind of like a pie chart in a way, except that you can have this ragged edge. Okay. A lot of the examples that I saw out on the web caused this to just be concentric circles. And I finally found an example, and here's the link to the example. I cannot take credit for this. It's one that I borrowed, and I can't remember the author's name offhand, but you go out and look at this person's example and thank them if you would like. But he created the query that allowed this ragged area to show up. So this particular manager has multiple additional levels that some of the other managers don't have. So that's why the data looks like this. I'm assuming that this is probably for less options. This is a nice report. For this many data points, it's probably not quite as useful. I'll show you how that looks. And in this case, we've got something we're summing, and then we've got different levels. So the level 1 name, that's actually from the query, and then how you want the colors to show up, you pick one particular level. And so this is the best one. If I switch it to something else, then the colors don't make sense. And we'll take a look at the data set very quickly. In the data set, this particular query will show, it's got left joins, and there are null values in the different levels. So for example, level 5, most of the managers do not have anything at that level. So a null will show up. And since he's using left joins, we don't lose those rows. So again, I just recommend going out and taking a look at that article, and he goes in depth on how to build this report. All right, that's enough for Visual Studio. Let me move to the web portal. One of the first things about the web portal is that it will work in modern browsers. So if I bring up Firefox or Chrome or whatever HTML5 type browser, it will work. That's really an improvement. The other thing, let me go ahead and click this report and see if I can print it. This is one of the mobile reports. I'll go in a little bit more deep into the mobile reports in a minute. They do not have the ability to print. Okay, so that's not good. What they've done with the, hopefully that doesn't take too long to run. What they've done with the old style, what we now are going to call paginated reports, is for the printing, instead of going directly to a printer, and there's no ActiveX control that you have to add, what it does is it exports to a PDF that's really made for printing. Okay, so if at this point I can pick, for example, the page size and the orientation. Previously, I could export to a PDF, but I didn't have the control that we have now. So this is going to work with any modern browser. So that's a regular report. Let me go back to just the main page. And this is the new layout. This is the new look and feel. Okay. One thing I want to point out is that there's some different organization to it. Paginated reports, that is for this particular folder, this report or this page has one paginated report, and that's your old style reports. We also have mobile reports and we have KPIs, and I'll dig into those just a bit more. Another thing that we can do is switch over to a favorites tab. So what I can do, let's say I have 1,000 reports. I'm sure they're going to be organized in folders, but what if there's 5 that I want to look at every single day? I can easily modify, just say, hey, I want this to be a favorite. And now it shows up on the favorites page. So then the next time I bring this browser up, my favorites will just show up first, and then I can always switch to the browse page. Another interesting thing you can do is change the look and feel to match your company. So if I go over to site settings, and this is not on a per user basis, this is across the board. I go to branding and upload a brand package. I'm going to use one that is already available. The reporting services team created this Xbox theme, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. Again, on the slide, I have the link on how to do this. So now I have the Xbox look and feel. Obviously, you can change it to whatever would make sense for your company, but they just provided this as a sample. I'm going to remove that just to get rid of it and go back to the way it was before. And take a look to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. One of the issues in the past was the report builder tool. It drove us kind of crazy back where I used to work, because every time we'd apply a service pack, that would cause the printing, ActiveX control, and report builder cause all kinds of issues for us. So now you can, and there's a download link here, you can download Report Builder one time. It's not a install, one of those click and install once. They've broken away from that. You just go out, download it from Microsoft, install it, and then you can just add it as a shortcut wherever you like your shortcuts. So in this case, I added it to my taskbar. Oops, that's the mobile report. Not ready to show you that one yet. Here's the report builder. So you don't have to have one report builder for every reporting services implementation that you might have. You can reconfigure it to point to different, or save to different reporting services instances. So other than the color scheme, report builder, and the new way to install it, it looks pretty much the same and works the same. All right, so the other thing that's really exciting is the mobile reports, and I already have the report publisher. Again, you can just download this, and it's a nice drag and drop interface. I just noticed this morning that Microsoft released a new build on this a couple of weeks ago. Since I just noticed it this morning, I thought I am not going to go out and install it, because I just feel like that is not a good thing to do a couple hours before I have a webinar. This, for example, this might be a bug. We should actually see what this looks like. But basically, you just drag and drop, and what it does is creates sample data. So we have sample data that so you can understand what data type you need, and also let you look at it. How is it going to look before it's built? So there's interactivity as well. So the other thing about this, let me go back out to the layout, is what you have to do is first create a master layout. And once you've created the master layout, then you create a tablet and or phone layout. So if I go to the phone layout, and let's say all I cared about was having this one control. So the phone and the tablet layout are based on what you chose in the master layout. So I'm going to go ahead and, well, let's preview it just to see how it looks. That's how it looks. And now I'm going to save it. So I'm going to save it to the server, and I'm just going to call it WIT. Oops, and save. The other thing, let me close that. The other thing I can do is create KPIs. They are created just by clicking New KPI. There's not a separate tool to create them, but it's very similar to the mobile reports where you just choose which kind you would like to have, and it creates some sample data for you. Now, what you have to do once you decide, yes, that's what I want the KPI to look like, or you can do it, right at the beginning, is come in here and connect it to a data set. So you do have to have published data sets for both the mobile reports and the KPIs. So I could go out and click on my data sets, and let's see, let's choose that one. Then you just set the properties. Let's say it is sum of sales, and then we can set a goal. Let me just set that one manually. Let's just say something like that. And go ahead and create it. So there's my, let's see, here's my new KPI I just created. And here's the new report I just created. Here's an interesting thing. What if, and this is the master version that I'm seeing here, what if my browser is a different size? So it automatically adjusts to the different version of the report based on the browser size. You don't have something that's just all, you don't just see the edge, or it's all, distorted. Okay, so if you would like to take a look at these reports yourself, what I'd like you to do is to open up that Power BI app that I had you download and create a new connection. And this is the information that you need. Here's the link, and here's the username, and here's the password. Obviously, if I was doing this for production, I would be using SSL. It would be an HTTPS link. But just because this is for demos, I don't have the certificate, so it's just HTTP. So I'll just let you work. I'll let you work on that. Maybe take a screenshot really quickly, and so I can close it and let you see some of the other features. I feel like I've been going extra fast on this. Probably because we're not stopping for questions. We'll do the questions at the end. Okay, I'm going to close that down. And let's go back out. So what you should see if you've got that mobile report working, or what you should see in your Power BI app, if you did download it, you should be able to run the KPIs and the mobile reports is what you should be able to run. Another interesting thing, let me go to manage, oh no, let me go back to the designer, which is this one. Another thing that you can do, let me switch back to master, and there we go. What you can do is also create a drill through target from the KPI or from the mobile report. What I have found, unless they've changed it, I can set the drill through target to a mobile report from a KPI or from another mobile report and run it. You can also connect a custom URL. At least my previous testing, so the custom URL could be, for example, a paginated report. What I found, though, was that I was not able to run the paginated report in my device. I could connect to other mobile reports, but I could not connect to another paginated report. So that's another piece of information to keep in mind. Let me go back and show you on these mobile reports some of the interactivity that you'll see. You can add filters, for example. Again, this is fake data, but you'll notice, hopefully you saw that, all the controls changed as I picked a different filter. So you have filters. A lot of the controls you can, maybe not that one, I can click on. It's not working on this one. Let's see if I've got anything else. On some of the controls, let's try this one here. You can click on a control and notice I'm in Illinois, so let me click on that, and it pops up with the value. Okay, so if I click on a chart, then I can see the particular value and the category. So there's quite a bit of interactivity built into the reports. One thing I didn't mention was that there is some new built-in integration between SSRS and the Power BI that is the online or the cloud-based Power BI. What this means is that I can publish, or I can take reports, for example, this one right here, and I can pin, I haven't tried it because I'm not really using Power BI yet, but you can pin SSRS reports into Power BI. And the very cool thing about it is, since we're using the Power BI look and feel as far as the fonts and the charts, it will not look out of place. So I can have a Power BI dashboard with some reporting services reports pinned to it. And those reports will, I believe, it's something that I need to look into more, but I believe that those reports will go out and you can schedule data updates to keep them in sync. Let's see, we've got another area. I think I've pretty much covered the reports. Hopefully some of you were actually able to go out and run the reports on your device. There are also some sample reports. You may see that there was also another item or a connection already set up to some samples, so be sure to take a look at those as well. One area that I have not talked about yet is configuration. So configuration, for the most part, is exactly the same as you've done in the past. This item right here used to be called Report Manager URL. Now it's called Web Portal URL. Configure it the same as you always have. There are two new items on Reporting Services Configuration Manager. One of them is the subscription settings, and what this means is that, let's say I have some subscriptions that deliver a report to a file share. I can specify one default account to be used across the board. I can still have a specific account for any particular subscription, but what I can do is just have this one account if one's not specified in the subscription. The other new item is Power BI integration. So again, I have not done the Power BI piece yet. That's something that I'll look into, and maybe later in the year I'll talk about that, and there's plenty of other people out there talking about it. But if I have Power BI in the cloud, this is where I would configure or connect my reporting services to it. There's another interesting piece, and one interesting thing is that there are frequent updates, but one thing I did recently read is that this SMTP settings for your subscriptions now supports outside SMTP servers. For example, Gmail account, Office 365 account, that type of thing. So previously, it was very difficult. I've seen articles out there talking about you could have your reports be sent from an outside SMTP server. I tried to get it to work. I couldn't really get it to work, even though I followed the instructions that were out there. But I just read from the reporting services team blog that they do support that now in 2016. So that's a pretty nice feature. So that's it as far as configuration. The installation is the same. You still have the same choices as far as installation. The biggest, I would say the biggest new feature is the mobile reports. That is the biggest, and then for me, I think the next biggest feature is probably the parameters, able to move the parameters around. Luckily, even though they did start from scratch on this tool, they didn't really require you to start over as far as learning or start over as far as reports. Your existing reports are still going to work, even if you just go ahead and deploy them or just do an in-place upgrade. So I feel like I went through that very, very quickly, but I think I've covered, oh, no, wait a minute, I do see one more thing I did not cover. There is a new URL that you can use. URL is the same, except there's a new parameter, rs embed equals true. So this is a new way to embed reports into an existing application or web application, probably a web application, or even in SharePoint if you don't want to have, if you want to have native mode but you want the report just to show up. So if I include that in my URL, what I get is just the report and the option, for printing, saving. I don't really get all of the web portal with it. So that's a new way to just embed a report. So I'm going to go ahead and check and see if there are any questions. So be sure to put questions in the box because I have trying to be able to see them. It's a really teeny little question screen. I'm trying to figure out how to make it bigger so I can actually read them. Okay, The pace is fine. Okay. Oh, let me show you. What we'll do is so the question is, will this link login be available after the demo? It will not. The reason is that I have this running in Azure, and I with my MSDN subscription, and I can't afford to run this VM all the time. I'll go ahead and leave it running today if you'd like to take a look at it. For the rest of the day should be fine. I won't run out of my subscription, but after today it won't be available. Let me go back to the slides because I do have some resources for you. There's a link to the custom branding and also to that sunburst example that I borrowed from this other author. Another really great link is the TechNet Virtual Labs, because you can go out on the TechNet Virtual Labs and it'll spin up a VM for you that already has everything installed, and you can either follow the tutorial for mobile reports or you can play with it as you want. So I would say go out to the TechNet Virtual Labs to play with this, and just basically just go to this page and then start filtering for SQL Server and then 2016, and you should see the lab. So let me take a look and see what other questions we have. Power BI is asking for an Power BI or SSRS login, unable to proceed. So I don't know at what time this question was asked, but the login, the SSRS login is, let's see, go back to here. This is the SSRS login that you would need. Can you suggest a link site that can provide guidance on how to securely publish mobile reports for executives, if there is one? I don't have a link or a site offhand. And I have actually looked for something, and I haven't found it. I know that having the SSL, the certificate, so you would have to get a certificate from a trusted source and install that on your reporting services, and then it would be the HTTPS link instead of an HTTP. Offhand, I don't have a link, but that would be the approach. Otherwise, your normal way you do reporting services. One thing that is, let me think, one thing that's interesting here, Kerberos is not supported. So that whole security thing, that's a whole topic that we really need to look into more. But I believe at this time Kerberos is not supported, but you do need an Active Directory account to get to the report builder, but in the data sets, they are going to have to be a SQL Server account to get to the data set, since Kerberos will not be supported. How soon can we download the presentation? I will try to get that out later today. We're recording, so I'll go ahead and try to get that out as well as the slides. You should get an email from GoToMeeting letting you know about that. And we also have our YouTube channel, so if you just go out to YouTube and look for PassWit, you should also be able to find it. And I believe that Ree had the link up there at the beginning. I'm using SQL Server 2008 R2, so would I be able to work on SSRS 2008 R2 and SSDT VS 2015? Yes. The only thing you have to remember is you have to remember to set the properties of the project to SQL Server 2008 R2. Unfortunately, you'll still see the new chart types, but you won't be able to use them, and you won't be able to rearrange your parameters. But definitely, that's one of the really great things, is that we can now have one tool for different versions. It really cuts down on the complexity. Question is, when there's a change to a master report, must the KPI and mobile report be updated separately? That is a great question. Let me go out and try it. So, in other words, let's see what kind of things I can do. I think if you remove the control and put a different control, you would definitely have to go out and make a change. But what if we just made another change? Let's say we changed to %, which might not make sense. And let's go ahead and preview that. It's going to be the %. Let me go ahead and save it. I really think that as long as you don't use a different control, it will automatically, the mobile and the oh, I misunderstood that. The KPI and mobile report must be updated. Okay, so the KPI is not connected to the master report. The KPIs are separate. The master report is the basis for the tablet and the phone report. So I think that's what you're meaning. So as long as you didn't, if you deleted the control, then it's going to be gone off of the mobile report, if you, the tablet and the phone. If you add something new, you'd have to go back and add something new. But if you just modify the properties, they should pick that up. All right, that looks like that's all the questions. Any more questions? And as I said, we'll get the recording and the recording out there. You can always go to the WIT site where you can look at the previous meetings tab. It will show all the recordings as well as our WIT channel, and it will also be part of the GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar link as well. The I think I've covered everything. I feel like I covered it pretty fast, but sounded like hopefully everybody liked what they saw. I'm pretty excited about SSRS 2016. It's one of my favorite tools. SSRS in general is one of my favorite tools, and I'm really glad that Microsoft has invested so much into it in this release. And I also would like to thank SQL Sentry for supporting us. We're still kind of working out all the details of that. And in future webinars, we should have some gift cards to raffle off. At this point, I don't have that information in front of me to where we can give those out, but hopefully starting next month, we'll be able to do that. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and I hope you join us next month as well. We have some other great topics coming up, and be sure to say hi if you make it to Past Summit or if you see us at any SQL Saturdays. Thanks so much.